Okay, we back on the porch.
We're back on the porch.
All right, I love it. I love it. So we got it out there to the public tonight or today.
I think we're going out there. Yep.
Good.
We're looking good. Yeah, we and I think our best porch last week, Roger. We had a lot of insight and wisdom, and it was just amazing.
Yeah,
we discussed.
They were awesome.
And
wow.
yeah, we got this time, and then probably the best 45 minutes ever in the history of the world, and then we find out it didn't get broadcast.
Yeah, oh, well, that was a disappointment. But we're back. We're back for another week. We're back for another broadcast, and it made us very aware of are we on and are we sharing with you the information that we want to, because that's what it's about. It's about us all sitting on the porch, talking about what we believe to be important stuff. And you brought up a thought that before we came on camera that I thought was very powerful, and that was the issues of infidelity
Right.
in marriage. And I thought that, whoa, boy, that is a tough subject and a heartbreaking subject. And I see a lot of people on both sides. One is don't care. I don't care. If this marriage ends, big deal. I wasn't that committed to it. The other part of people who say it took me years to heal from such a devastating wound. And there's a piece that Rick bothers me is people who don't really put much energy into the commitment and the relationship, but then are hurt and hugely stunned when it fails. It's like, wait a minute, you didn't seem like you were that interested or that invested emotionally and spiritually and physically and financially in the relationship. But boy, when it ended, you were devastated. And I see the partner at the end being kind of dumbfounded. They're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't even get that you even care.
Well, you know, and that's the first question, and that's what, it's interesting. This week I've had 2 emails, both speaking on the topic of a recent discovery of infidelity in the marriage, and going on the theme, you know, can you heal from infidelity? And that's the first question, can you heal from infidelity?
Well, I think you have to question, you have to be willing to question the breakup. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, Rick, is that it didn't go well, they're hurt, they don't want to touch it. They don't want to process it. And I think people who do not effectively process and look at it and say, you know, where did I go wrong? What did I do inappropriately? What assumptions did I make? Those are hard and they're painful to go through. But if people aren't willing to examine that, what I've noticed is people repeat. They get out of one. They have a tendency to blame the other person and go and find a new partner. And okay, for the first maybe 5 years, it's different and they're doing things differently. But once they settle in, all the old habits, all the things that caused the first one to glitch is going to cause the second one to glitch. And I think statistically we've seen that people that go into third and the fourth and the fifth marriages fail time and time again.
Right. And again, we know statistically that as we go in those processes, the success of those marriages actually has less of a chance, because it is what you just got through saying is, unless we take the time to figure out what we contributed to the dissolution of the marriage, and of course we're a little off the right now, but you know, we bring that same baggage into the new relationship, and until we unpack the baggage from the relationship that is no longer and figure out how do we repack it in order to make this trip work, because we always have that expectations, well, it'll be better, but why is it going to be better if there's no changes in behavior that created problems in the first place?
The word I think about, Rick, is ownership. You know, if the marriage fails, the easiest thing to do is to blame. The hardest thing to do is to take ownership. And when people look and say, I don't want to go from blaming others to blaming me, and I don't agree with that either. I think I can easily blame others, or I can take ownership. I can put myself, how I was raised, what lessons I had, some of my behavior under the microscope. And why don't people do that? Well, the reason people don't do that is it hurts. It's painful. And you have to question, you know, how you were raised, who you were raised by, what were the rules you were raised under. Sometimes, even though it was workable in your family and it was the rules your family used, it does not blend well with someone else. And so when you come out of your lifestyle and you move and try to blend into another, and I think that's a key element in success, is blendability. Is saying, am I and how I was raised, will that blend well with somebody else and how they were raised? And I think that's a very difficult thing, that if you, and we've seen a lot of this, of people, you know, I was raised in one part of the country, I met somebody from another part of the country, they had one lifestyle, I had another, and the thing that just drives me crazy is the phrase, well, love will cover it all. I am so much in love with her or him, this will cover it all. And boy, I want to tell our listeners that that is a lie. It will not. Love will, given time, fade in intensity. And when it fades in intensity, whoo, man, let me tell you, people who you say they would never do this or that, you look around, they're doing this or that. And I think that's very sad.
Well, we have to understand, too, that, you know, the different stages of love. I mean, when we first meet someone, that's when our brain is going crazy with all those good hormones that are going off, and, you know, the dopamine, the endorphins, and so forth, and everything's good, where the world's good, everything is bright, there's nothing going wrong. But, again,
a surge of passion.
Yeah.
A surge of passion.
And as we go through those neurotransmitters that are being set off, but we're not designed to be in that state forever. Otherwise, we'd go crazy ourselves. You know, the closest definition to insanity is, or the closest bridge to that is love.
Right.
You're closer to insanity when you're in love than any time else in your life. And we see this because we do things and we think things, and like I said, it's not a negative, it's just how it is, because we don't listen to what people have to say. They could see something that might be challenging in somebody you're quote unquote in love with, but we don't hear it. We make up excuses for it. Oh, they're just passionate about their football game. Yeah, but they're never with you. They're always at the football games. Or why does she not ever spend any time with you? Or why does she always out with the girls?
Right.
Well, she just has good friendships with all these people and so forth. But when you get married, guess what's going to be the friction in your marriage?
Right.
He's always at the football game. She's always out with the girlfriends downtown.
Right, and I think now I'm going to bring in a Rhodes word, and that's marriageability.
Okay.
You know, not everybody born has the ability to be married, and they struggle with that. You know, not everybody was meant to be married. Some people are good at marriage. They're good at blending. They're good at working together and creating a new style or nature. And other people are not. And so they are never, I don't care who they meet. I don't care how they meet. I don't care how much passion they have. It's not going to work. because they don't have that element of marriageability. And so one of the things you have to uh, ask yourself is, could you be married to you? And a lot of times what you're going to come up with is, nobody could be married to me. I am not marriageable. I am not of a person that can work it out. And so, and what I see so many times in the idea of people dating is, I want to go out and date somebody that is subservient and will give in to my way and will go along. And what I want to tell people is, well, that's easy to find. If people really want to date you, they're going to go along. But you and I are saying, going along for the day, going along for the week, going along even for the year is doable. But going along over time, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, is impossible. People won't give in forever. At some point, they're going to say enough. And sadly, one of the ways people say enough is through affairs.
Yeah.
They can't approach people dead on. They say, "Oh, I wish they'd have come to me." Were you come toable? You know? And what you find out is, no, that the person feared coming to you. So what became available? Oh, somebody else showed them attention. Somebody else showed them a different way. And so they took it.
Yeah.
And then devastation after that.
Yeah. Kim Hamilton has joined us, as you can see on the porch. And Kim, actually, you're asking some good questions, but you also have the answers to your own questions. So, because I've heard you speak on this before, and as I said, I want to put you on the porch with us. Why don't you share what your answers are to the questions you have regarding can love actually grow, or does it have to fade? You know, you definitely understand the concept of eros or agape love, and how does that work in a marriage? And you're right. I think, you know, as we've talked before, when we come into a marital relationship counseling arena the first time, if we hear that it's going to be, you know, he does, she does, he does, she does, without what Roger's saying, the acceptance of self-examination and what are the behaviors that I'm bringing into this, and my wife Cheryl, who's a licensed professional counselor, always talks about what you just got through saying. You know, we have to ask our question, what is it like being married to me? And until we can truly answer those questions, we don't see a lot of success. But where we do see success is when we are working with clients who are willing to take responsibility, learn what it's like being married to them, what are the behavioral changes that will positively impact the marriage, and go out with skill sets that are applied and new ways of doing relationships.
Yes, I think one of the hard things that goes along with this is that you're raised by people who unconditionally love you. You know, your parents, oh, you're wonderful, oh, you do great. If you do something wrong, oh, that's okay. They excuse it very quickly, and they praise you over and over. And then can you imagine that person going into a marriage? That's near impossible. You know, and I think in the past, many women saw the challenge of raising an adult male. You know, that they were going to kind of take over the task of raising this child, this male that the parents had been parenting. So it really wasn't about love. It was a kind of a different element of parenting. And our world does not go with that now. That is not something that's needed now. When you marry, you're hoping you're an adult and you're getting another adult. And so we've got two adults working on making a family. And one of the things I say all the time to women is, if you have male children, raise them so another woman can live with them. I mean, there are so many guys that have been raised by women who just unconditionally love them and look the other way and have somewhat of a codependent relationship with their child, and then they meet someone, they fall in love, they want to be married, but a woman doesn't want that. She's looking for an adult male to work as a partner, not a codependent relationship in which they're going to be parented again, or they're going to pick up the parenting from their original parents. And that becomes critical. And then that opens the door for affairs. Imagine if I've married someone who is codependent and the relationship's one-sided, and in the process of going out into the workforce and being in different places, I meet someone who's a real adult, well, I'm going to be drawn to them. And the other person who's been codependent doesn't see that they've opened the door for the infidelity to happen. They have been part of the process, not someone who's going to end the process.
Good points. And Kim, also, I don't know if we lost you or not, if you're still online, feel free to share about what you're going to be doing on WSPA and what the vision of the work is going to be done through First Baptist Simpsonville. This is what we're learning, is that we get a lot of views, obviously, after these things are posted on the different sites. 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, I know, is not a real available time for a lot of people, but we do get people who will go back and watch them. And so, Kim, I want you to, there, okay, I see it. And entitled Women, Kim's saying this. He says, what about moms and daughters? He has quite a few Princess clients entitled Women.
Well, that's true, too. I mean, but I just don't see that dynamic as much. I do see it, but it's probably about 10-90, sadly, that I do see 10% of women who have been in a codependent relationship with their mother, and they've really been given a free pass as a woman in their family. But I only see that about 10% of the time. What I see more often is women who did not have that great of a marriage, or a marginal marriage, and instead of addressing that issue, they have children, and they connect up with the children, and they do for the children, and they buy for the children, and that boy child can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so that energy that they should be putting into a marriage, they're putting into a male child. And I see that about 90% of the time. And there's no woman who can be married to that guy. He is not marriageable. Now, he can go to school, he can earn a living, he can drive a nice car, but he can't be married and in collaboration and in a partnership with another not a human being, but another adult. That takes a certain amount of energy and certainly a great amount of focus and consistent focus. And I don't think many men have been raised to develop that focus. And what's sad is, and I'm reminded of Donald Miller, who's a Christian writer, who was interested in someone, and his friend said, "Oh yeah, you can date them, you're good at relationships. It's that marriage thing that you don't have." And I thought, wow, that is profound right there. There are a lot of men out there that are real good at dating. They know all the right things to say. They know all the right things to do. And the one thing the women don't take a moment to process through is he marriageable? Is he in a place where he can be married to someone? And what they're going to find out is no, No, he's not in a place where he can be married to someone else. It is a real skill to be married to someone else. And very few people have that skill. Now, is it a hard deal to get married? Oh no, all you got to do is find someone to say, do you, do you? That's marriage. Getting married is not an issue. Staying married and then developing the marriage in a way that it has a barrier to the involvement of other people. Because if it does not have that barrier, then we do see influences come up, and down the road affairs come up, and then boy, our heart's broken. Ooh, it's an ugly, ugly moment when that comes down for most people.
And Gail brought a good point. Gail, that's an excellent point regarding the softening of masculinity. And if you ask a woman of the greatest generation about her husband, she always replied, he was a good provider, always took care of our needs, but roles and expectations are very different now. I do think we're living in societal times that, first of all, there are challenging times where there are, I think the latest thing I read was 47% of households, the woman makes more than the husband now, which to the male ego is tough.
And I think, Rick, that is an awesome point that we want to tell our viewers. Things, they are a-changing. Times, they are a-changing. And the men and women that were married successfully in the 40s will not work in 2016 or 2017. It won't work. Things have changed so much. Adjustments have to be made. And there's where I say again, I'm using that idea, marriageability. People that are good at marriage adjust. They are very flexible. They'll say, yeah, I know that being a provider, and I love that phrase or story, Rick, where the guy goes, 20 years ago, I told you I loved you. If things change, I'll let you know. And did that work in the old days? Yes, that did work. People weren't high verbal, but will that work today? And the answer is no, it will not work today. You can't, I told you 20 years ago is a big change. You have to make that adjustment. You have to be flexible. You have to grow. What it took to be married in the 40s was this much. What it takes to be married today is this much. It has changed, and it calls upon people to dig deeper, work harder, be more flexible, and to really suck it up. That's a very important issue in today's marriage. How much can you suck it up? Because our time's going to be tough. Yeah. Are you guys all going to fall out? Yes. Are you all going to want to give up? You bet. Everybody's going to want to give up. And what seemed like a good thing when you were dating seems like a cruddy thing when you're married. And do you have to make that adjustment? Yes, you do. And people who do are more successfully married. And people who dig in like this are affair-proofing their marriage. Because, why would I be interested in someone else when I'm working on this one? But when I haven't worked on this for 20 years and somebody else shows up, ooh, boy, the door's already open. The situation's already there. And you do not see marriages where we're all working together and we're being flexible together and we're investing together and the person decides, oh, I'm going to go have an affair. No. They have a lot of accountability. They're checking with each other. And so there's not much room for someone to come in. But I see other people, what your wife doing? I don't know what my wife did. Where your wife is? I don't know where my wife is. What's she interested in? I don't know what she's interested in. Well, the problem is somebody else might be. And it only takes them doing that for a while before all of a sudden the wife isn't that interested in being with you. She wants to be with someone who's as interested in her as she wants them to be. And that person many times is just waiting for the opportunity.
And Gail, that's a good point also. Is, there are a lot of families that are fine with the, I don't know if you want to call it a shift in role, but where either the wife is the main breadwinner, and even to the point where sometimes there are families where the men are taking over the duties of child care and child rearing because the wives do have such good jobs. And I think it takes a strong male ego, or maybe a strong male sense of self in order to understand and go into that. And so, yeah, we're not saying that all men are going to be struggling with it. And you're right, Dobson has done some excellent work on the male ego and raising children with male egos and what it's like, because there is still a challenge. I think for, as Kim says, the baby boomers, I remember my first exposure to it was in 1972, University of Tulsa. I was raised by a great mom and a great grandmother who always taught you pull the chair out for ladies, you open the door for ladies. Even my grandmother, when I was 10, 11, 12, would be out there visiting or something, she would give me the money and the check to go pay because the man always paid the check. And so she started me off at that age. You come into 1972, the world's changing. I had my first date at the school, and I go and open the door for this young lady, and next thing I know, I'm blasted. Like, she made it very clear she could open her own door.
Yeah.
Well, could that cause a wound? Sure, it could cause an emotional wound. Yeah. I'm trying to do what's right.
You know what I think, Rick? Next. Yeah. That's not the first one I want to do. But that says it all. And the one thing I was thinking when you were talking about men raising children, the problem that comes in is, I'm more than willing for my wife to make the money, but I also want her to raise the kids. I also want her to do laundry. And so I abdicate doing anything but showing up. Well, no, that's if there's a shift, it again is a family finding a balance. It's a partnership. It's just not one person doing all the work, the other person sitting back. It's everybody doing the work. Everybody in the ditch. Yeah, I might have thought this was what I was going to do when I was being raised. But again, I'm thinking about when you're talking about dating back in the day and your mother and grandmother raising you in a particular way. Okay, so you meet somebody who says, I can open my own door. Okay, well, if you and that woman don't find the balance, that relationship isn't going to work. Okay, I don't have to open the door, but if you're asking me never to be chivalrous or to guess when you want me to be chivalrous and not, and that you get to pick and choose what you want to do, and you're going to demand what I do, I think those spell, I think they work for a dating moment, but for a relationship, they spell defeat down the road.
I agree. So, how does one look out for red flags on both sides? How does the woman look for the red flags from when? And we're talking about we're in the dating stage, and then how does the male and how do we know the red flags are there when we just got through sharing that the neurobiology of love basically throws all that out the window? So how do we bring the intellect back and the conscious back into it?
Well, I think the number one thing you have to look at, Rick, is need. When you date in a needy fashion, that's a setup for failure. I think a lot of people, I want to find somebody, and it's whoever walks in the door. And so the idea of checking it out, the idea of creating some distance, the idea of slowing it down and reviewing everything is not on the table, because I have that need. Oh, I need this to happen. And ooh, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. What you have to look at is, okay, I'm willing to get into the process. Okay? And this is the process. A lot of times what I've seen people do real good is that they write down what they need for a healthy partner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so they go into the dating moment checking things out and having a little bit of difference, not difference, distance. They're just not needy. But when you lean in to a situation, that is when things start going too fast. People end up doing what they don't want to do. They agree to things they don't want to agree with, and then it's disaster in the end. So I really encourage people, don't needy date. Don't needy date. Date to seek a partner. And I think that's a different focus, and I think it has a different vibe to it.
Yeah. And I think, Roger, once again, you hit it right on the head. I see it all the time now that I need a boyfriend, I need a girlfriend. The idea of dating is just that. It's more for the concept of eliminating, not just being needy and taking whoever comes along first. And where I'm going with this is, as we work with people who are still at that stage where they can understand what the concept of dating is, and it is, I like that idea of the list of, does this person check off positively on the list we have, and it's okay to date more than one person or be immediately attached to one individual, because now we're giving up that opportunity to do exactly what dating is designed for.
And Rick, another thing is, I don't know, checklist seems so formal, but I would say checking out. Check out these things, and don't only check out your partner, check out your partner's family.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to just marry that person. You're going to marry whoever they're related to. And can you get along? And so one of the things that I encourage people to do is, if it's possible, go to a Christmas event, go to a Thanksgiving event, go to a New Year's event. If there's a party, see if you could be invited to it. That is going to tell you so much about people. If
well, you can't be invited to the party. That's your first red flag. I don't know.
Without a doubt,
You're going where?
Okay,
I'll be ready. Nope.
And Rick, what's funny is, at a party, the parents will treat you differently than at a formal get-together, where we come in, we shake hands, good to meet you, sit down. That's good to say, there's nothing wrong with that. But boy, when you go to a party and all of a sudden you're snubbed at that party, or you're treated a particular way at that party, oh, that is a huge red flag, And one of the things that's important in that, Rick, is after the party or event that you go to, after the person is gone, by yourself in your house or in your car, do a gut check.
Yeah.
How do you feel, number one, about you? Number two, how do you think the person you like feels about you? And what does his family or her family think about you? And gut check. Don't mind check, gut check. And what you're going to find out so much of the time is, if you get a, ooh, wow. Because how many times as a therapist have we heard people come in and said, I should have known.
Yeah. Or I do now when I do.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, and the thing is they say, I had clues.
Yeah, I have clues, yeah.
And boy, the word ignore. I ignored them. Or I let them encourage me to ignore. And boy, down the road, does that turn into a nightmare? Oh, yeah. And one of the things, two things I'm thinking of. One is, where are we going to go to church? Oh, wherever you want to, honey. Well, that sounds nice and dating. Once you get married, no, we're going to this church. And
Or we're not going to church at all.
or we're not going to go to church at all. That's it. And the other is, what do you think about having kids? I don't want any kids. And then you marry them, and well, you know, I come from a large family, and I just don't feel comfortable. We don't have 5 or 6. What? You want 5 or 6 kids? And who's going to have them, and who's going to raise them? Who's going to, you know, wipe their snotty noses? Well, that's you. And you're going to go, hey, I'll be off into the job, you know, and I'll be working with that. And then you then wonder why down the road things go separate ways. It's that kind of stuff that sets the tone for affairs down the road. Affairs don't happen. Well, I walked in, they walked in, we bumped in, we had an affair. I don't hear that happen. What I hear is, over time, we got to know each other. Over time, we connected. Over time, it was a developing issue. Most affairs that I've ever heard of as a therapist were developing. Some of them years before anything happened. But that the door was open, the issue was there, the issue was not addressed, and before you know it, that seemed to be the right solution. You know, I'm lonely, let's have an affair. Things aren't working, let's have an affair. I don't feel heard, let's have an affair. It just seems to be the wrong answer to a very important question.
And then as we go back and regroup on how we opened up, I think the good news, the good news and the hope that we can present there is the answer is yes. You can heal from an extramarital affair, but it takes 2 people, again, for the self-examination to understand just what you guys were saying, it didn't happen overnight, but it also takes 2 people to put that work into it. Understand it's not going to be an immediate healing. There's going to be a lot of pain that you're going to go through in the healing. There's going to be times you'll either one or both will say, I just can't do this anymore, I'm going to throw in the towel.
Right.
But it takes that's really where the commitment comes. And going into it, and there, I think I shared one time about some clients I had one time where her statement was, if this is what it took for me to get the marriage I always wanted, it's not what I would have chosen, but at least I had that marriage I always wanted, and there's a book right now that I can't think of the title off the top of my head, but it's the same kind of theme. His affair was the best thing that ever happened to our marriage. And,
Right. And the thing, Rick, in there is the word I've used before, which is ownership.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It is so easy and so satisfying to blame others for a bad decision. And it is because of the easiness of the blame and the satisfactional issues around blame that it's hard to get 2 people in a room and for both of them to take ownership. I take ownership that I brought this to the table, and the other person say, I take this ownership and brought it to the table, and we're going to work that out and solve that issue.
Right.
Is then the marriage savable? Yeah. But boy, that's hard work, buddy, and painful work.
With the clarification that we have to take that ownership of the issues, work on the resolution to those issues, but also understand that blame will never be placed on anybody else for the choices and decisions that we made. We're talking about the offending spouse who chose to have the affair.
Right.
That's also what they have to take ownership of, and that's not the fault. Their actions are not the fault of the spouse. Maybe some of the issues that were occurring could have been worked on earlier and resolved, but and we need to make that clear that we never those that have been offended or the spouse that has tried to decide whether or not they can heal from their spouse's affairs never accepts blame for the actions of their spouse.
Right, and I think another piece of this, Rick, is development. And I touched on this a little bit before when we were speaking. It does not happen overnight. It did not happen in a minute. It happened over and over and over and over and over, and people developed over and over and over again. And so it is very hard in that for people to adjust. It's so hard for people. Wow, because I lived with this for a long time, and it was not easy for me to get involved with someone else. That was a very difficult thing, and so it took so much time and energy to get into a bad moment. It's hard for people to get out of it because they developed into it. So that to have a healthy, ongoing relationship is, if it developed in, is to give the marriage time to develop out of it, to process in a way in which, the whole idea, is it healable? Yeah, but you got to be healable. And there's where people hit a rock and a hard place. They say verbally, "Oh, I'm ready to heal that." But boy, when you get down to the healing process, this is what you got to do to heal this emotional wound. Ooh.
Yeah, the work.
Yeah. And they're in denial that there was a problem to begin with so many times.
And Kim, you're right. The marriage will never be like it was. I got it. And that's exactly the goal of healing marriage after an extramarital affair, is just that point. Is what Roger just got through saying, is we do not want it to be what it was before. It's got to be better. If we go through these types of pains and trials in our lives, if we don't come out in a better spot, then what's the purpose of them? And that's what we're looking for in the therapeutic processes. How do we bring them out, and how do we get out of those spots in a better position than we were when we were in it? And then there's actually some value to the pain and the scars that we earn through these type of life crises. And so with that, Roger, time to say goodbye to our friends out there and invite them back to the porch next week, next Tuesday. Today was kind of a hard topic, but it's a good one because I think we do have to bring some truth out there in order to understand that healing can be done. And there's no situation in life we cannot get healed from.
Amen.
If we don't, if we put our mind to it that we want to be part of that healing process. And the first step is, as Scripture says, the truth will set you free. And a lot of times we just got to start there. So we'll see everybody next Tuesday.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We sure appreciate it.